Peter! Buddy! What's going on, man? You know, it's been a little while since you and I last faced off. You know, last time we did battle, you know, we parted as adversaries, you and I. So imagine my surprise to find out that you've actually come in support of feminism. Wow, who would have thought? You're an anti-theist and you're a feminist. Which some people might say would make you the absolute bane of my existence. But I don't actually hate feminists, so I guess no. But I mean, you and I, we're like complete opposites, man. You're like the Megatron to my Optimus Prime, like the Venom to my Spider-Man. You know, it's crazy, man, you know. But yeah, so what brings us here? Well, a little while ago you made a video, and you said something like this.
So, when I first came out as an atheist and, of course, stayed pro-life, the reactions from the atheist community were a little harsher than those in the Christian community.
Well, yeah, it's half logical, half illogical. Maybe you can already guess which I'm going to say is which.
So, let me get this one straight. You think that just because someone does not believe in a deity or any supernatural entity or beings, that it would then logically follow suit that it is okay to kill your progeny? That makes zero logical sense. Just saying.
I was desperately clinging to my religious beliefs and how eventually I will let them go because it's only natural.
Or they understand the facts that, just like homosexuality, there is no secular argument against abortion rights, so therefore it left them a little bit confused how a non-religious atheist could hold non-secular views on women's rights. That's not really religious thinking, it's just merely surprise at the inconsistency of the application of your reasoning.
So, there are no secular arguments that you know of against abortion. And I really thought about that one for a second, and I was like, wait a minute, do you seriously think that just because you don't think that there is any sort of deity, that it would logically follow suit to be able to kill your fucking child? So then I decided, you know what, Peter? How about this? How about I take you up on that? There's no secular argument against abortion. Well, let's try that one out then, shall we? Now, oftentimes, these abortion debates end up becoming a game of semantics, where we are basically trying to decide at what point does a zygote or whatever become a human being, and we talk about personhood and all of that good stuff. I say, fuck that. Let's go brass tacks, okay? Because brass tacks, when you're talking about abortion, something is dying. Something is dying. There's no argument against that. There's nothing to be said. There's no string of words that you can put together that's going to argue that something does not die when you have an abortion. Now, is that something a human being is where the semantics come into? But we can argue that simply the whole act itself is morally wrong. We can, without the use of a creator. In fact, I don't know very many people who try to use the fact that there is a creator to describe that killing your fucking progeny is a terrible thing to do. So, anyway, let's get into this. Now, the first thing I'm going to argue against is that abortion is not simply a woman's right. Now, I could simply say that no woman has the right to kill her child, but that would be way too easy. So, let's actually play this game, right? So, I am in the camp that a woman does not have any executive decision to kill her child simply because she did not create the child on her own. It took a man's sperm cell to get that child. But it goes deeper than that for several reasons. One, the child has half of the genetic encoding of the man, which means part of that child belongs to the man. Two, women expect men to take care of their children. If women expect men to take care of the children, that means they acknowledge that the child has some effect on the man's life. If the child has some effect on the man's life, she must also acknowledge that it is the man's child, which means part of it belongs to him. So if she acknowledges that not only part of it belongs to the man, and that it has an effect on his life, then why does it logically follow suit that she is the one who's able to kill it when she did not create it on her own? Point number three, Women also expect men to be responsible for their children, financially most of the time, hence child support. If a woman expects a man to pay for his child, knows that the child has an effect on the man's life, and also knows that half the genetic encoding of that child belongs to a man, it does not logically follow suit that she is the sole arbiter of whether or not that child gets to live or not, because she did not create it on her own. Really should be an argument against that. There really should be no shock or confusion as to why men show such discomfort, or why men don't want their progeny to be terminated without them having any ability to argue against that. Just saying. There's no way that abortion is simply something that only affects a woman if the woman acknowledges that part of the genetic encoding, well, it just acknowledges everything I just said. There's no way it can simply only be a woman's right when it affects a man just as much as it affects a woman. A pretty good analogy for what I just said would be something like this. Let's say two partners, you and I, we create a model, right? And we put this model in my bag. Now I'm carrying the bag, right? I have the model. I have control over the bag now, but we both created it. Now, would you say that since the model is in my book bag, I can throw my book bag down and stomp on the model so we don't get a good grade? Of course you wouldn't say I could do that. But then I could reply, well, sir, it is my book bag, and because it's my book bag and it is inside my book bag, even though half of the materials came from you, I'm carrying it. And thus, because I am carrying it and have the burden of carrying it for 90 minutes, just to be cheeky, I get to decide whether or not I want this thing in my bag or not. And then I can throw it on the ground and destroy it if I want to. And of course you reply, no, you can't do that, because all of that does not belong to you. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, it could be a PowerPoint and with a flash drive, it really doesn't matter. If half of something belongs to you and I'm carrying it, I know for a fucking fact that you would not say that I can destroy it because I don't want to carry it. It's just that simple. And I guess you could say, well, in the book bag you can give it to the other person, blah, but now we're just being over specific. But go ahead and say that anyway, I don't care. We're moving on. Now, some people might probably respond, well, what if a woman doesn't expect a man to take care of his child? Well, her expectations do not change the objective fact that is, part of the child's genetic encoding still comes from a man that she chose to have sex with. We're not talking about cases of rape here, so if you're trying to say anything about rape, go to a different video, because this is not that video. So again, her expectations do not change the objective reality that is part of the child's genetic encoding still comes from a man. There's also the fact that no woman has the right to terminate her zygote or her fetus or her child. I mean, it really doesn't matter at what stage you want to have it. It doesn't matter if it's a zygote. She still doesn't have the right to terminate a living organism for any reason other than if it poses a danger to herself. In conclusion, having the ability to have an abortion or having the ability to terminate a pregnancy is not the same as having the right, the God-given or the human obtained, you know, the inherent right is not, abortion is not one of those rights. It is not an inherent right given to anyone to terminate their progeny. It's not a right. You don't have a right to kill anybody, really. And again, brass tacks, in abortion, when you're doing an abortion, something is dying. You don't have a right to kill that simply because it's not convenient for you. Now, of course, in cases of rape and, you know, other complications in terms of pregnancy, I already have my opinion about that in an earlier video, so I will not expound upon it in this video because I am restricted due to time constraints. So, we're just going to move on. So, next thing, some people would probably say is, well, what if the man and the woman both decide to terminate or kill the zygote, or the fetus, or the baby, whatever, it doesn't matter. Again, I'm not playing semantics with you guys. The organism. Let's talk about that. Now, to wrap this up and talk about morality. Now, when you really think about morality in brass tacks kind of term, and you really think about why is anything that we think is wrong, it all comes down to one simple conclusion, or one simple answer. And that answer is anything and everything that people think is wrong because you are infringing upon someone's autonomy. So what is autonomy? Autonomy is a human being's ability to make the best decisions for their possible life, or to be able to make decisions, i.e. someone's free will. Anything that you think is wrong because you are infringing upon someone's ability to do that. For example, when you steal someone's car, you've stolen their autonomy. Now they can't go to work. Same thing if you steal their money. Now they can't buy resources that they need. Even when you hurt somebody, it's wrong because now you've damaged part of their, system, their body. Now they can't do normal functions they'd be able to do if they were fully healed. Murder or killing is the ultimate theft of someone's autonomy because now they can't do anything. Again, I challenge you people to really sit here and think about why is anything that's wrong. I'm not talking about like the legal system. I'm talking about what we feel as morality. Why is anything that we think is wrong? And you'll probably come down to it infringes upon someone else's autonomy, or it infringes upon your own autonomy. So that being said, with killing something being the ultimate theft of autonomy, abortion is clearly a wrong choice, morally speaking, because you have stolen someone's autonomy. Now, of course, I told you people, I'm not going to play semantics with you. And you're probably going to sit here and thinking, but a zygote isn't a person, or a fetus isn't a person. And I'm going to reply to you with this. One, a zygote doesn't stay a zygote for a prolonged period of time. You will very rarely be able to know that you're pregnant with a single-celled organism in your uterus. If you are somehow able to know that through any use of technology, well then, that's why, because of any use of technology. But even then, once again, a zygote does not stay a zygote for a very long time. It starts to diffuse, and then you become a blob of cells. So if you say that, well, if you kill it, you're just killing a blob of cells, I have to reply, you stupid idiot. You are a blob of cells. So, I guess that's okay to kill you. Obviously, you don't think that because you're a person, and that's not. Again, I'm not playing semantics because it's still a living organism. Even then, if we talk about what a fetus is, people say that a fetus is not a person, or is not a human being, and then I have to ask, if it's not a human being, what the fuck is it? Exactly. So, yeah, clearly it's not a person as in that it has an identity because it hasn't developed to that stage yet, but it's still a human being in development. It's not anything other than a fucking human being while it's a fetus. You can't argue that it's not a human being. I mean, so, yeah, once again, most abortions that take place are taking place in very early stages of development, usually when the fetus, again, I mean, once an egg gets fertilized and it becomes a single-celled organism, it is alive, so there's no real argument against that something is dying. Again, you might be able to argue that abortion is not murder, but neither is capital punishment, technically speaking, since murder is unlegalized killing of another human being. So, I mean, again, technically speaking, if a cop shoots someone in the back who attacked them or who shot at them, they have not committed murder by definition of the fucking word. However, there is no argument that the person they shot is dead. So, yeah. We're done with this video, guys. Can't wait to read the comments on this one. So, yeah, Peter. No secular argument against abortion. That's unreasonable. Second thing, I don't understand why you being an atheist would mean that you think it logically follows suits that it's okay to kill your progeny, but yeah, I don't really expect to get a response from you from this video because of how long it is, but if I do, I look forward to seeing it. With that being said, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comments below, and as always, have a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.